I know. It's the end of the world, right? So I've actually been watching some 5th Gen on YouTube lately, and I kind of felt like, maybe let's play a few on Showdown, see what happens, because I still don't have a cart. So here's a match versus Cote in which I literally copied his team and then modified a few of the EV spreads, and I was like, hey, let's play. And so it's a literal mirror match. Anyway, I can't really see what's going on. From now on, I'm not going to record the whole thing. That's fine. But he had Terrakion lead, so I just decided to go for a burn right off the bat. And it's interesting, like, since it's a 100% mirror match with the exception of like one move and 28 EVs on a few different guys, obviously we both know exactly what everything is. So just kind of messing around at first right there. I wanted to try and get a burn on his Terrakion. Obviously it didn't work. And then go from there to see where it's at. And I know that since he just shifted the burn over to me, and we kind of changed things around a little bit, I switched over to a sweeper that I figured could get some damage in on something. I try and, it's a prediction whether I go rock or fighting to try and get something killed. And I figured the rock would have been more obvious, I guess. So I went with close combat, and it turns out I guessed wrong. It wouldn't have done a whole lot either way, but if it did hit, I would have had a chance to go for it again and maybe finish off Dragonite, but nah, didn't happen, so be it. I bring in my Pharaoh to try and set up some hazards, because I know that neither one of these teams particularly likes it, but it's not the end of the world, but they prefer getting rid of them if possible. And so I could tell that if I went in with Pharaoh now, I would have my chance to get them up. So unfortunately, he's thinking the exact same thing, or at least realized that I was doing the exact same thing. So by me trying to get hazards up first is going to end up having both of us get hazards up, which, I would have rather nobody had them than both of us have them, I guess. But whatever, it'll speed things up and, make a process, get on down there. And I made this switch thinking that I knew he was going to go for rocks, and for whatever reason, I didn't think that Pharaoh was very threatening, that it wouldn't hurt me whatsoever, completely forgetting it can still definitely attack and use super effective moves. And so I was expecting, herp derp, he'll just switch into something and I'll hit it with a Hydro Pump, yay. And then I died. I'm like, oh. So at that point, losing pretty much the only special offense on the team, I thought I was in a big hole right there, losing that for nothing. And then here, I expected the Spore to be tremendously obvious and that he would switch into his burned poke, but he didn't. And so I just tried to get a free swords, and it didn't happen, and now Breloom is paralyzed. I'm like, well, that sucks, but I guess Mach Punch is there anyway, so meh. But now I predicted Crobat to come in because of the fact that it walls Breloom so well. I figured that way I can at least put a sleep on it, and I still can't make anything happen, but at least I got it to sleep, so that's cool. And will give me a chance to hopefully go to Dragonite, maybe get a couple of dances up, and see if I can make something happen from there, which is definitely the goal. So I think that's what I do. I can't see I can't see what's going on. I can't tell what's happening. But he wakes up, and I believe he Confuse Raises me. Now, like I mentioned, I copied his team. I made one move change. I changed his Crobat Confuse Ray into U-Turn, and he was like, I don't know, man, Crobat really likes it. And I'm like, well, there's Volt Switch on that dude over there, and I've used Confuse Ray on Melodic in the past, and I always wished it was something else, so I made that change, and he was just kind of poking fun at me right there, like, hey, see? That Confuse Ray, it's saving my bacon right about now. I'm like, shut up. So right now that change isn't working out too well, but I think I try and stick with it and make it work. I'm not actually positive. If I tried to keep roosting up or whatever to at least get back up to full, and it just wasn't cutting it. I didn't want to get T-waved, so I switch out to Ferrothorn, and he ends up setting up a Leech Seed, or trying to set up a Leech Seed. And at this point, nothing's going to happen. And in cases like this, I think of this as 4th Gen Blissey versus Blissey, to which you just freaking paralyze the Blissey for the sake of who knows what he's going to switch to. When in reality, that's probably really bad, because Breloom is going to want to put that thing to sleep and then try to go to town from there. And now I can't put it to sleep. So then I go for a Leech Seed, thinking maybe he'll switch, but he just continues to go for T-Waves and T-Waves. And I'm like, well, maybe he'll switch now, so I'll switch too. But he doesn't, and he goes for T-Wave on my Scarfer, and thank God he gets paralyzed again. So 2 parahacks in a row. Hey, don't worry, Cote. That's just like a 30. That's like a scald burn or something, right? I don't know. Whatever. Not quite, but I'm just making fun of him as an inside joke. So thankfully, it didn't paralyze me. But I knew it would survive one close combat. I was hoping he wouldn't stay in for it, but he decided to hang out and take the hit. But also, thankfully, he missed. So right now, he's getting hacks to hell and back, and I'm not even like taking that good of advantage of it. I expect Crobat to come in on that turn to handle the close combat right there. So I go to Crobat of my own. I don't remember exactly what was going through my head, but at the time it made sense because I figured I'm not going to be accomplishing anything anyway, so I may as well go somewhere where I might be able to accomplish something. So I'm going to go for a taunt just to make sure he can't confuse Ray or Roost or do anything annoying as hell. And this will allow me to Roost this turn, I believe. So that I can get back up there to full. He's forced to using a move that isn't going to accomplish anything, and it will hurt itself in the meantime, which is going to cause him just to switch instead, which that's fine. I think I Roost. Do I Roost? Yes, I Roost. And then now this allows me to either U-turn, or I can't really U-turn because he's going to be Scarfed. So I should just straight up switch, but I'm like, is he going to go Stone Edge or is he going to go close combat? I ended up just trying to stay in and try and predict his move, and I guessed wrong, but then he missed. So I'm like, Jesus, I'm haxing my way back into this. And then I ended up U-turning out anyway, going straight to Breloom. And since he's stuck in Stone Edge, I feel like, hey, that's cool. I could potentially put something to sleep. So I think I go for that again, or do I? Yeah, I go for the sleep again, excuse me, because his Rotom is really weak and I can probably kill it regardless if it tries to dodge the sleep or not. So I wasn't terribly worried about that. But that time he switched Crobat out instead of staying in sleeping, which I don't know if I would have done the same thing, but he went straight to Dragonite, so he's definitely trying to get some dances up. But I went to Terrakion to try and Stone Edge his Crobat that I expected to stay in, and instead I can just Stone Edge his Dragonite. So I'm like, hey, cool. And that means he's definitely going to switch. So I don't know if I wanted to actually go with Stone Edge in the end of the day at that point, but I know that Pharaoh's really weak at this, or in HP at that point, so I was like, I have to just so that Crobat can't come back in. And then I miss a Stone Edge, which is fair. And then my next Stone Edge hits it down to 1 hit point. And he went for Leech Seed, and I was like, why'd you go Leech Seed instead of T-Wave? He said he didn't expect it to survive. But just because you don't expect to survive doesn't mean you just make a wrong play and not care about it. He survived at 1% HP. The Leech Seed put him back up to 18%, which is exactly what I did with each Stone Edge, was 18% apiece. So I do kind of like that in the simulator. It tells you exactly how much is going on. But at the same time, like, I feel like you're supposed to, like, that's part of having to know what's going on as opposed to having a calculator tell you, but whatever. So he goes to Breloom of his own, to which this is exactly what Crobat is for, to counter Breloom and make it go away. And I don't know if, do I stay in here and try and wake up myself? Since I just felt like he was supposed to, but that was his second time having Crobat get slept as opposed to the first time. I think I stay in and go for Brave Birds. I think. Yep, I'm still sleeping. Just sitting in there trying to get some Brave Birds, knowing that it's not going to hurt me too bad, that by the time it gets down to some critical HP, I can just roost it away anyway. Although then I'd lose my flying type. Or I could just kill it. That's the plan. So, anyway, he's staying in, going for some Hydro Pumps, trying to kill Crobat before it wakes up. And I don't believe Crobat ever wakes up. I do think he takes a permanent dirt nap at this point. Which was very, very sad, to say the least. Yeah, I'm still sleeping, so that really hurt. It was 2 or 3 turns of sleep. I didn't count it specifically, but it felt longer than what I wanted, and didn't quite work out. He hit those Hydro Pumps, but that's fair. So I feel like things are evening out a little bit, which is nice. And now I'll bring in my Pharaoh, because I see that he's at like 6%, I think, and I think his Rotom's going to die regardless. I can't exactly tell because this preview screen is terribly not clear. So I go for Leech Seed so that whatever is left, I'll just steal that back. And if he's switched, then I'll get even more, and that'll work even better. So he gains lefties, and I steal it all back. I'm like, that's cool. I just killed you with Leech Seed, dude. Like, awesome. So in comes his Terrakion, and I know from experience of watching him battle a few times with this team, and from the way his survived mine, I know that I'm going to survive with a smidgen amount, and I can not Leech Seed, but T-Wave it, and then his Scarf Terrakion will not be as much of a threat, which will be handy and dandy. It'll still be faster than my Pharaoh, of course, but at this point, Pharaoh's not going to do very much. So if it wants to hit me, it'll lower its defenses again, take more Iron Barbs. Maybe it'll get Parahacks and I can just hit it instead. So a lot of cool things can happen from there. And at this point now, that thing's slow, that thing's minus half. It's not doing so hot anymore. So I'm still hanging out with a couple of guys. I got Dragonite Breloom, I think. So I want to hopefully start setting up. I can Roost and go up to 100%, and then Multiscale will kick in, and I won't get dominated, so it just kind of wastes time, and it hopes that he would get Parahacks on the Roost, really is all I was going for. Otherwise, we're literally trading turns until something happens. And he ended up just switching. He didn't want to play that game, so I go right for a Dragon Claw, knowing that I'm not going to die, but getting put to sleep sucks, but at this point, something has to go to sleep. And I'm like, you know what? I still have Multiscale. Switching isn't really going to help me at this point based on what I have left. So I just stay in and try and kill it. I mean, I gotta get kills to win the game. At the end of the day, they don't ask how many or how. I guess they ask how many, but they don't ask how. So I stay in trying to get the 6 kills that I need, because if I don't get 6 kills, then I lose. So I end up getting an early wake up, which is sweet. I take out his Dragonite, and he's like, oh, sad. And the best part was, one of the EV changes I made was I gave his Dragonite 8 more speed EVs, so I knew I was faster, and he was trying to Roost, I think, or DD. But it didn't work for him, and I woke up, and the EVs made all the difference in the world. So this battle is proof that not being lazy and custom making, even just a difference of 20 to 28 EVs. I think one guy has 28 EVs, one guy has 20. And I think this guy's got like 8 difference, and then a couple changes from like where you take them and modifying it. Just a few minor little changes definitely worked in my favor in like 2 or 3 instances in this game. With my Rotom being slower on purpose so I could U-turn after getting burned as opposed to U-turn into something else and getting that poke burned. Like that worked out perfectly. You know, Dragonite being faster worked out perfectly. So it was nice to see the fruits of your labor rewarded. And I'm actually going to freaking beat Cote with his own team. Ha! Take that! So I actually had a little bit of fun, but that's probably because I was, playing a chill cat. Cote is awesome, so thanks for the help, man. Thanks for being chill, and thanks for letting me copy your team. So I plan on actually having a few showdown matches with this team, and we'll see how it goes. So thanks for watching, guys. Take it easy. Catch you later. Peace.